gentlemen, welcome to the New York Live. What is happening? What is good, pattern watchers? I hope you are all well today. We got that Bitcoin live. We got that New York stop hunt flavor that we're going to be bringing in very shortly, ladies and gentlemen. As we speak, we have some very important people talking right now about price. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are new to the channel, mad love and respect for passing through. What is good? Who's in the room with me today? Driver's room. Stephen James, what's good? Soul Extender, what is happening? Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. What is good, family? Pattern watchers, I hope you are all well. We have a very important couple of days coming up, ladies and gentlemen. We are approaching the monthly close. So whatever they decide to do from now until then is crucially important on what we are likely to expect coming into the start of next month. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's have a conversation, guys. All right, then, here we go. So we got our chart in front of us. Firstly, let's just kick back this Bookmap for a second and start diving into Bitcoin's price action. So let's zoom out. What is the story? Let's go to the 4-hour time frame just for a second. So what you're going to expect right now, ladies and gentlemen, is I'm going to break down the charts because at 2:30, this is when the futures markets open. We're going to have a good understanding of what to expect from Bitcoin coming into that open itself. Now, remember, we said that 2 p.m., which is 9 a.m., when the bell goes ding, 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 stock market is open. But prior to the futures markets, the traders in the stock market are going to be looking over what has been happening over the last 12 to 15 hours in terms of what happened in Asia, any news announcements that have come out, any news announcements that are due to come out. This is all part of your structure when you come to the charts, ladies and gentlemen. You've always got to prepare. You have to be prepared, especially when you're dealing with the realm of uncertainty. What do you prepare for when you're dealing with uncertainty? You don't know what to deal with. That's the thing. So then you should not be emotional about what you don't understand, what you can't see. You have to take what you have, which is right now, which is price. Price is the best indicator, ladies and gentlemen. There is no two ways about it. Price will always tell you what it's going to do. The idea is that we've got to try and pin down that when. When is what it is we look for with trading. So in front of you, ladies and gentlemen, we have Bitcoin on the 4-hour time frame. Firstly, let's go all the way over towards the monthly time frame itself. I'm going to be doing a video on this later on tonight for my holders, where I'm going to do a deep dive into understanding the importance of the monthly candle. And as you can see, guys, Bitcoin has fully recovered that green vector candle. They did it this month and they come back up ever so slightly. And we have some very interesting zones that we do really need to pay attention to, especially on the weekly time frame. As you can see, we've got vectors down at the lows right here. So we just pull that up. There's one more vector point right there. We have this vector point right here. And then finally, we have the top side of that vector point, which has already been broken. And we're going to just go into this area right here, which would be the low. So that will take us to 17,547, 15,850, and 13,566. Now, what we've got to be aware of is this. Can Bitcoin go down that way? I ain't no perma bear, perma bull, whatever you want to call it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going off what I see. All right? We know inflation is a problem. We know that they're talking about recession. Oil prices are shooting to the sky. The macros are saying to everyone that things are difficult. Now, with the Fed actually declaring yet another potential rate hike on July the 27th, which is going to be on a Wednesday at 2 p.m., I believe. No, 7 p.m. They're going to have the FOMC minutes and the press conference with the federal fund rate. They're going to be showing us what they're going to do about inflation. But it's a double whammy, guys. They increase the interest rates yet again. They're going to squeeze credit. Consumer spending is already dropping. Okay? The inflation expectation index has risen to 8%, more than what it has done since it came out in 1987. My days. It seems as though things are a little bit difficult. So we need to understand if Bitcoin's going to be going lower, what's going to cause Bitcoin to go lower, ladies and gentlemen? Okay, so let's start diving into other assets that are going to help us understand that. So let's go over into the NASDAQ itself, go onto the 1-hour time frame for the NASDAQ to make sense of that. Let's just mark up price. You can see NASDAQ is making its way into those previous vector points. It did okay last night in Asia. They contained the zone, but I believe that's because today, please reduce the brightness of your screens. I speak fast, so you got to listen quick. We have got The ECB president talking right now. We've got the Bank of England, Governor Bailey speaking, and we've got the Fed Chair Powell speaking as well, which has been on for the past 10 minutes. So whether they say anything interesting is going to be reflected in the markets itself. You can see NASDAQ is coming down. We've got next points of interest in the NASDAQ down here. The tech sector itself took a beating yesterday. So are we going to see a little bit of a recovery, or are we just going to get that straight follow through to the downside, followed by the S&P itself? S&P is consolidating. Does that mean Powell is going to say something that could rock the markets? We would like to see S&P try and come back up into the vector point, but even if it does come back up into the vector point to apply the principle of returning everything back into the fray, we then must be aware of a retrace of rejection from that zone. We've just got to keep an eye out on this play for the S&P. Yet with the S&P, we still got vector points down here, as you can see with the green vector candles right there, ladies and gentlemen. So we've got to be extremely careful with our plays. Going into some commodities, you can see oil has taken the projected zone. We've been following oil for a little while, and they've come back into that red vector point right there, ladies and gentlemen. Problem that we've got is are traders going to keep maintaining the idea that they are expecting the recession to hit, which means that they're all going to turn to commodities and send price higher in oil. So could oil actually end up back towards its top side of about $130 a barrel? If you look at oil back in the day when they hit the subprime mortgage crisis, oil nearly tipped up to $150 a barrel. That is phenomenal. So what it's trading at right now is pretty much amateur, in my opinion, on them actually absorbing the idea of inflation with regards to, and recession with regards to commodities. All right. Checking out oh God, what are they called? The yields. The yields themselves, looks like we've got a little bit of a structure on the yields right here. Yields haven't been going up or down. It looks like they're waiting for Powell to say something. Okay, we have had the GDP figures come out for the US itself. Let me just refresh the chart. And you can see that GDP is coming lower. All right, and the price index has increased. So there's a little bit of a problem there for them. So we're going to start seeing some interesting behavior. We've got the actual yields coming up right now. And the principle says when the yields go up, dollar goes up, which means we favor dollar heavy investments. So that means we're looking at dollar yen. Dollar yen is shooting up, ladies and gentlemen. Now, if we actually look at dollar yen for the patrons, let me just explain something to you. Dollar yen, in terms of level 3 and level 2 rises to the upside, where are you basing your peak formation from? You've got to understand they have been consolidating in this area right here, okay? And that's where the peak formation is. As you can see, we've got a W structure right here because they came back down into this previous structure right here, which in principle resets the cycle. Get the W formation right here, and then we have the rise up level 1, rise up level 2, peak formation, rise up level 2, retrace, rise up level 3. They're talking about dollar yen reaching towards that 150 mark if the Japanese do not do nothing about the deflationary pressures of the yen. Okay, so unless the yen does something, dollar's going to keep moving up. The yields are going to keep going up because people are favoring shorter term returns on their investments as opposed to the longer term outlook, which they believe is going to be a recession and inflation. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a look at the dollar index itself. Dollar index is also mimicking the potential to move up. We've got these key points right here, guys, which we need to be aware of. This zone, and this zone. These are impressionable points in the chart where we would expect traders to seek assets assets for the dollar. So that means they'll be taking their liquidity out of assets like Euro USD, GBP USD. Notice any asset against the US dollar is pointing lower. Look at gold. Now, gold is moving up, but gold hasn't been doing much lately. So it's really important that you understand that when gold goes up, dollar goes down. But because dollar's going up, but gold isn't going down, okay? Just look at gold's behavior. It's been stuck in this consolidation for quite some time. It's like until they say we are in a recession or we have a big problem and we don't know what to do, that is when traders are going to seek the safe havens and run to gold. Because you got to think of it like this. Imagine, you know that there's going to be a situation coming into the future. The long-term outlook of the economy is bleak. All right? So naturally, you're going to want to put your money into safer investments. Well, you ain't going to get into gold now. If gold was to rise up and be an expensive asset, you would naturally anticipate that they would hold gold so that when it does start to come into fruition that we are in recession and what have you, it will then naturally start to rise. In other words, you don't want to pay a high premium price for an asset to protect your portfolio. It ain't going to work. You're going to be paying over the odds. And how do you not know that by the time they make that move towards the 2,000 mark, it starts to pull back down again? Okay? Now remember, the market always factors in the idea of the future right now. Okay? So let's go back into Bitcoin itself and make sense of the price action today going into the futures market itself. I need to break down Bitcoin's ranges and levels. I hope everyone is doing well today. I am going pretty fast today because I have to go and pick up my daughter a little bit sooner than expected, but no doubt I'll give you everything you need, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so green vector candle down here with the stopping volume presence. That tells us whenever you see a stopping volume candle, it tells us that the market attempted to break down lower, and it didn't reject this zone because it didn't want prices at that point. It's because there are stops in that area. These are stop zones. This is where traders go short. They are able to entice traders to go short from these points. So they activate those orders. They hit those orders and then they reverse back up. Remember, market maker sends price lower to go long and then he sends price higher to go short. Now, Bitcoin has broken away from its daily open and we can see right here that we have got one rejection of the daily open and another rejection towards the daily open also. Now, if you notice from yesterday, they rejected the psychological ranges right here. Now, in my opinion, what I would like to see Bitcoin do is Bitcoin to come down all the way down into the pits right here, going into Thursday, so that we can get at least a nice little reversal so that we can actually exploit that. Problem that we've got, ladies and gentlemen, is on Thursday, we only really have the unemployment claims and the core price index, okay? Other than that, we have the manufacturing index happening on Friday. So we don't really have many news announcements. However, next week is going to be important because we have the non-farm payrolls coming out at the first Friday of every new month. So we are likely going to see some interesting price action happening in Bitcoin. Now, the word on the street is Bitcoin can go absolutely lower and lower and lower. What is Bitcoin going to do? What is going to happen? And what is going to be made of cryptocurrency? Well, look, ladies and gentlemen, the total market cap, we've already lost 100 billion. Okay, we're at 900 billion plus, and now we're down to 875 billion. Okay, people are concerned about it being at 875 billion, but the bigger thing on top of everything is we've just had $2 trillion leave the crypto market, ladies and gentlemen. Look at the truth. Okay, that is the truth of crypto right now. The next points of interest in terms of capital or liquidity, where the market could end up being, is 592 market cap, 55 billion market cap, and 405 and 361. Where does that take us? That takes us to the last point in Bitcoin where the final vector candles reside. Okay? That could be a point where they encourage people to step into crypto again. Now, guys, most of you are probably wondering, hold on a second. Where are these whales? We've been looking and keeping an eye out on whales trades and what have you. We saw whales were buying up 1,500 Bitcoin up here, 1,500 up here, 2,000 in this area, 3,000 up here as well. Aren't they losing money? Well, if you're buying 1,500 Bitcoin, you ain't got a problem with money. You see, most institutional funds, or if we're going to say whales, how do we know these whales are only about cryptocurrency? How do we not know that these are institutional funds that are committing 5% of their portfolios into cryptocurrency? In other words, cheap change. Okay? And everyone's all hyped on the whales buying and selling Bitcoin, transferring it into exchanges. We will never know exactly who these whales are. We know the addresses, but we don't know who is behind those addresses. So that's something to take into consideration, ladies and gentlemen, okay? Now, let me just pull up Ethereum for you just for a split second to break everything down, because we can see on the 22-hour chart, we got some interesting behavior on there. Ethereum right now, let me go into the hour time frame. Now, Ethereum has done a great job of sticking to this structure. It looks a bit messy, but let me get rid of all these lines right here. So Ethereum has gone down and reject. Look how this is what we were looking for in Bitcoin. And what I noticed with Ethereum is Ethereum always ends up doing the move before Bitcoin, and it does it better. All right. Look at how Ethereum yesterday rejects that psychological low. Yet Bitcoin yesterday wasn't near the psychological low. Didn't actually hit that zone. Look. All right. So you're in a bit of you're on the fence here where you're saying, OK, I want to see it test the psychological low. So I know that I want to see prices going lower. All right. But with Ethereum, it tested it, and you would have had a much stronger conviction and price to move down lower because they rejected it from that point. Now, it does seem like we're going to have ourselves a very slow New York session today. Bitcoin is at a very important point in the chart. Let's go over to the glass node to make sense of it. Okay, here we go. So the glass node has been updated. Let me just zoom into that point right now, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just get that up for you. Capitulation. This is where we are. It's now going lower. Okay. Now, problem is if we do get another capitulation, then we go beyond this point right here, then that's going to be sad news for Bitcoin, which we would then sit and reflect that on the idea of them coming back into this green vector candle zone. The liquidity is present. We've got this gap in the chart, ladies and gentlemen. Now, what if the idea of cryptocurrency and all this stuff about inflation and recession, look, we've got the Fed speaking July 27th, okay? So from now until then, could it be safe to say that Bitcoin is forming this structure? Because it's in a psychological zone. The 20K, which was Bitcoin's last high, that was a massive impression on Bitcoin. Even if Bitcoin comes all the way down to here, we're still good, guys. Bitcoin would need to break beyond the 17,547 and start attacking these other points of liquidity in terms of the vector candles for us to start saying, okay, they are just running price and hammering crypto to the downside and withdrawing all liquidity. But what if Bitcoin is in the process of creating a pattern? Because this is a psychological pattern, guys. Mr. Market Maker induces traders to go short. Loads of traders are running for the shorts. He sharply reverses price back up. That's the first leg of the pattern. Then the midpoint of the pattern itself is where the retail trader that got caught out in this move to the downside because he got liquidated when price returned back up, he then gets given another opportunity to run that play one more time because he believes that price is going to do exactly the same as it done here. So Mr. Market Maker then gives them the understanding and then he leads price down and lower and lower. So this is the area where we would see vector candles appearing. Starting to see some of them show their hand right now. The idea is that if they're going to formulate this structure, ladies and gentlemen, this is the zone. This is the sweet spot right here, which will take us to the lowest point of that vector point to the highest point of that other final vector point, which sits at 19,106 and 17,760. Now, we're going to go into the price action. What time are we at, ladies and gentlemen? We got 7 more minutes until the open of the New York futures. Let's start diving into price action. Okay, here we are. Let's bring up, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to bring up several screens. Yeah. I'm going to bring up 4 charts right here. We got Bitcoin on the left. We're going to have the NASDAQ futures right here. So I'm going to zoom into that bad boy right there. And that will take us onto the I'm going to go into the 15-minute time frame. And we can see what we're getting from that activity right there, ladies and gentlemen. Then down here, we're going to change that. We're going to put the dollar index so that we have an understanding of what's going on the dollar index itself. Dollar index is moving up, ladies and gentlemen. Dollar yen, I'm going to remove that. I'm going to change that to Ethereum because we like to see what Ethereum likes to do. And we have got that on the weekly chart for Ethereum. Starting to move down, Ethereum is. It's getting quite interesting right now. And then I'm going to bring up the Bookmap. Here we are. Okay, so we're all on the same page right now, ladies and gentlemen. And then, of course, we have the infamous Bookmap, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so before I continue, mad love and respect for everyone passing through to the channel. If you are new, be sure to like and subscribe. And for anyone that is considering joining the Patreon, please do not join it until the start of a new month. You will be charged twice, and you don't really want that headache. So let's get to it. What does the Bookmap say, ladies and gentlemen? The Bookmap is showing us something very interesting, okay? We have got 487 and 387 Bitcoin orders down below, okay? So just shy of just 1,000 Bitcoin nearly in this area, and the liquidity looks like it's resting and it's going to stay there until otherwise, all right? Still trailing at the VWAP itself. We had exactly the same behavior yesterday. The VWAP was holding, and we then saw price initiate a stop hunt rise above that zone for them to come back down and rip into that area. The delta now is showing 734 Bitcoin have been absorbed at the 20K point. They are doing what markets do at key notable areas. This is where where the whole and half number principle comes into play. Patrons, today we have the conversation. Remember, what are you looking for in relation to the whole numbers? What things are you looking to try and see from the market maker? Think of the meta game behind the charts, ladies and gentlemen. Don't look at the charts as they are. Think of the meta game. What is the market trying to make people do? If it's trying to lure people in to buy, you're going to start seeing fast movements to the upside, which will then be returned with a drop down. That's why everyone always asks the question, why is it when I decide to go long, price always ends up going against me? Because you're buying at the time that you're being sold into. You don't want to be in that situation. You want to be at the point where they're buying at the lowest point, where they are consolidating and holding a particular range. Okay? Now, you have to take into consideration sentiment across the board. The macros are dictating that things are looking problematic in the future. Recession, interest rates rising, credits are going to end up being defaulted. People aren't going to be able to make the payments if they increase the interest rate aggressively. So these are all going to be put into the charts, ladies and gentlemen. Looking at these orders here, we've got so we have 734 Bitcoin stacked right there. Dollar index is moving pretty aggressively, all right, and it's holding its gain right there. That 731 Bitcoin orders at 19,900 is very important. Price is pointing lower. I'm just going to look closer into it. Yeah, it seems to be consolidating quite tightly in this zone. They are clearly waiting for Powell to say something, but if anyone can shed any light on what they're actually saying, then that'll be great. Let me flip over to Exo charts for a split second. So, Exo charts, what are we seeing? We're seeing a lot of negative deltas coming in, which would give us the understanding that Mr. Market Maker is hitting the bids. He's getting aggressive with his bids. But he's not moving down price as aggressively. So they may be bringing us into the potential for a reversal back up if they don't follow through with what they're trying to do in the bid zone. Okay, so you can see, right, we've got here lots of delta coming in at the lows, but price isn't able to get back above those points. That is a clue. That could indicate that we could be going down lower. Next point of interest could be the previous week's low, which is what this area is right here. And we're at the daily value area low, and the daily low has already been taken. So we're in this tight range right now. They're consolidating the chart. Looking at price, we've got Ethereum's down 3%. You've got Bitcoin only down 0.96%. So it's not really down much. But of course, we're in the US brink session right now, ladies and gentlemen. So we naturally expect something to happen. Here we go. So we've got 3 more minutes until the New York futures markets actually do open. Dollar index is shooting up right there, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just going to bring that here for you. Dollar index is shooting up, so that could mean that traders across the board in the futures might have a negative day. Euro futures are probably going to end up going lower. So that means that everything could actually start rolling over very shortly. We got the NASDAQ trading down quite aggressively right now. We got 2 more minutes until the start of a new 1 hour candle, ladies and gentlemen. This will take us, not 1 hour candle, new 30-minute candle, which is the start of the futures session. Let's get ready, guys. It might get a little bit interesting. Let's just keep an eye out on the orders right here. We got lots of liquidity coming in at here. 20,400, 529 Bitcoin, 770 Bitcoin, and that's big liquidity right there. But we're starting to see a lot of interest down here. 420 Bitcoin. Dollar index is moving up. We're getting ready for the futures, man. Getting ready for the futures. Right, keep an eye out on Bitcoin on the top left right here, ladies and gentlemen. Be careful. Yeah, you know what, bro? It could go up, it could go down. It's a funny story, but that's the name of the game of trading. If we all knew where it was going to go, we wouldn't be stood here now, would we? That's the name of trading. It will go up, it will go down. We're trying to find out the when. We're trying to understand the nature of behavior. And I love it when people say, yeah, it could go up, it could go down. It's like you're surprised that that's something that happens in the markets. You're dealing with the hardest, easiest way to make money, my friend. Of course it's going to go up. Of course it's going to go down. Don't even get me started. 104 for the dollar index. Dollar is appreciating 4.76%. If we get up to that if we get to 105 with dollar, then we're going to see a bleed, man. They're going to be aggressive in the futures markets. Look at the liquidity coming in now. This looks like they're going to do a stop hunt rise to eat the liquidity here. Because look, over here we've got nearly 1,500 Bitcoin in and around this zone, nearly 2,000. But they've just quickly placed 640 orders, high liquidity right there. Could that be the stop hunt rise to initiate the reversal back down? We are in that zone right now, ladies and gentlemen. We are in the Brinks box. You know? We are in the Brinks box. So let's understand if they're going to do the stop point. Here we go. It could actually, here we go. They missed out on that move. Look, they're taking away the liquidity. Look, keep an eye on that zone right there. They're taking away the liquidity. If that liquidity disappears, it was a spoof order. They don't think it's going to go higher. Look, keep an eye on it. Dollar index coming down. Stop hunt low. Keeping that liquidity there. That's good news. 548 Bitcoin. It was 600 a minute ago. Keep an eye on this liquidity here. If they cancel, they're placing, look, they're placing and cancelling orders right here, right now. Ethereum is coming up slowly. I want to know what they're going to do with this. VWAP is present right there. We're adding more liquidity down here. We've got a lot of liquidity down here at 700 Bitcoin. They just cancelled a little bit, starting to make its way down. There's a very small stop hunt right there for Bitcoin. We've got this green vector candle right here, which has got the wick, so we've got to be mindful of that. They're getting quite aggressive right here. Futures are open. Bitcoin moving fast. Look, they disappeared. It disappeared. They got rid of it. It was the spoof. It was the spoof right there. They cancelled that order. They didn't get the fill that they wanted. Ethereum has initiated the stop hunt rise, pull back. That's what you're looking for in the New York session, guys. The best time to trade is the New York session because you get the movement, you get the respect to volatility and volume happening in the charts. The idea says that at this point right here, we are going to see the limit buys get triggered. At this point right here, we're going to see the limit sells get triggered. Inside the middle point of this zone right now is where they're testing the VWAP. And if they can hold the VWAP, Bitcoin will move higher. All right? But if they can't hold the VWAP, they're going to break down, retrace back into it to solidify it, to shake out the longs and continue down lower. Dollar index is shooting up. That tells me Euro USD is taking a nosedive. Let me just take a look at, look, NASDAQ is dropping. NASDAQ is dropping. We've got to keep an eye out on S&P. S&P itself. Come on, S&P, what are you doing? There you go. S&P's dropping down, and it's going to be going down with a vengeance, man. This could be a very interesting day. We got the movement, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Let's get this book map up. We're going to start seeing it. Oh, my days. NASDAQ, S&P right there. I'm going to just keep it over here for you for a split second to keep an eye on Bitcoin and Ethereum. Keep an eye on dollar index. It's moving up. We know that they're favoring dollars, which will tell us that the yields are going up. Dollar favor is going up right now. So assets against the US dollar are now getting hammered as we speak. All it takes for them is to change the narrative at a split second and induce traders to go short for them to reverse it back up. Let's see what they decide to roll with right now. We've seen it. They're breaking that VWAP right there, ladies and gentlemen. S&P looking like it wants to try and come back up again. Bitcoin's doing okay, if I'm honest with you guys. It's holding relatively well, but the 50 EMA has come to price, not price come to the 50. So we are in this lack of momentum happening in the charts. Could develop right here. We've got orders coming in right now. Nothing happening up here, ladies and gentlemen. Ideally, I want to see some orders being placed up here to follow through into this zone, but these are acting as resting orders. Here we go. Here we go. 562 Bitcoin absorbed at the VWAP zone. They're starting to plant orders. 427 right there. They could actually eat that liquidity as long as it stays present. They see, look, they're moving lower. Order book is getting filled right now. We're getting a lot of commitment in this zone. Dollar index going up. Bitcoin's moving down. Ethereum is struggling to come down from this point. That's a good sign for Ethereum, but as long as it breaks this point, then we're looking for the M1 pivot point. If they can break beyond this wick right here, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. There's that pause. There's that pause. You see it? Holding that 20K. Little pauses like that. They are tells. They are tells about the way they do things. Yeah? Look at how aggressively they've just come in. Now, remember, the futures market's just open, so traders are absorbing what has happened in the past 24 hours or so. Okay? News announcements, closing of certain positions from overnight, now placing new orders. Now we're going to see the beef of the move. Here we go. S&P coming down, 3,800. That'll be a very interesting time for S&P. 3,800. They're trying to hold the key whole number. Notice what's going on. 3,800 for S&P. 20,000 for Bitcoin. Ethereum is at the 1,000 mark, near the 1,100 mark. Dollar index going up to 105. But look how everything seems to be getting busy around the whole numbers. 3,800 is being tested. 20,000 is being tested. All right. The second they break these ranges, then we're going to know exactly where we stand. Notice now they've broken the VWAP itself. Let's get a bit closer into the Bookmap and start paying attention to what they're doing. Here we go. We've got some orders cancelled here. So in principle, we would expect them to try and come back in here. If those orders don't actually come back in at this point, then we would expect them to reach down lower. There's a resting order right here. So we want to see 525 Bitcoin at 19,900. If they do decide to release from this point, drop, retrace and reject the VWAP itself, then we're going to see some interesting movement. Let's go over to XO charts a second, broken down below the 20k point. Daily point of control has been disrespected right now. We are trading below the VWAP itself. I'm not really seeing the bids being hit and not getting aggressive. The delta ain't that much. The next delta candle could actually start the process. We've got some liquidations down here. They're toying with liquidation points because they are hitting the longs. Remember what we did yesterday? There was about $7 billion worth of longs in the chart, but we had an even distribution between shorts and longs in the zone, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just bring the Bookmap up one more time. Here we go. We've got that test of that VWAP. They've come back up into it. Pay attention to the bid and the ask right there, guys. The bid is the green dashed line and the ask is the red dashed line. And it's important that you understand the relationship between the two, because when price is dropping, it means they're hitting the bids. That means they are selling. Traders are selling. In order to sell, someone needs to buy, Mr. Market Maker. If they're lifting up the ask, that means traders are buying because Mr. Market Maker is selling into premium. It's very important you understand that. Here we go. Bitcoin has sort of initiated a stop hunt rise in the US Brinks. It's not as aggressive as I wanted it to be. So we could be consolidating for a little while until we break into this area right here, which will sit around the between 19,900 and the 19,800 point right there. I want to see Bitcoin hit that point. All right, that's what I'm looking for. 3,800. Still toying around dollar index. All it is, ladies and gentlemen, is the dollar index. The dollar index is going to put the pressure on all assets against the US dollar, which means that the euro is taking a nosedive. As you can see, it's gone down to 1.049. Dollar yen is shooting up, ladies and gentlemen, going up to that 136, nearly that 137 point. I'm telling you, man, unless the yen does something about that, they're going to have a problem. I told you. Bitcoin can't go up if the dollar index is rising, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Bids are being hit. 20,000 right there. We've got some orders at 20k. They're going to rip into this range. They're trying to test this area right here. If they don't get that commitment, guys, they're going to run to that 505 Bitcoin orders at 19,900. Might be a sharp play. Get ready for it, ladies and gentlemen. It could be a very interesting point right now in the chart if they can't hold this point. Where are we at in the chat, ladies and gentlemen? Where are we at? How are we all today? Are we all good, guys? Yeah? Wicked, 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 wicked. All right, then, cool. So, Tino, let's say, a question by Saran. So, Tino, let's say prices break down. Where will be the best entry? Let me tell you about entries, ladies and gentlemen. Entries are not about finding the best entry, but try and make it as accurate as possible in relation to your risk. You can't tell someone to go long from a certain point because you're not factoring how much money they're prepared to use. If I say for someone to take a position to favor higher prices and they use 100x, well, price only needs to drop down a small amount for me to see their liquidation point. So whatever decision you make to take a trade, whether it's up or down, it's the risk that you have to focus on. A gambler will tell you how much he can make, but a trader will tell you how much he can lose, because you know what you can lose, but you don't know what you're going to make. All right? If you go into the charts with the belief that you have to make, and you know you're going to make 10 grand, okay, if you've been doing it for some time and you understand your strategy, then fine. I would go in the understanding and say, yeah, man, my guy's going to make his 10K today. You watch. But to the new trader, putting in that pressure on himself to force the idea he needs to know how much money he's going to make it worth his while, and then reflect that he's going to put down a bit more size, a bit more, and take a bit more risk, he's going to burn himself out. So aim for accurate entries based on how much money you are losing in your trade. In other words, the drawdown that you experience on your trade has to be as minimal as possible. Okay? The more time you're in a loss, the sooner you need to trade to cancel your trade and close it. The less time you're in a loss, the sooner you've realized that you've caught the momentum of the move. Now look what's going on. Now we're seeing Bitcoin move. They've broken into that point right there, ladies and gentlemen. This is an important zone, taking out that 1900, man. What's going on with this guy? 19,900, 542 Bitcoin. They keep on adding and taking it away at this point. This is important. Is the delta starting to rise at this zone? This is what we're looking for. 838. Look, they're getting close towards that 3,800 zone in the S&P. Dollar index going up. Let me just keep an eye on dollar yen for a second. Not really moving yet, but Euro USD's sort of consolidating. Ain't doing that move yet. Bitcoin seems to be making that move. They're adding to this 19,900 zone. Got to keep an eye on it. Watch the charts, ladies and gentlemen. Don't aim to take trades. I want you to watch the charts, because then you'll start to train your eyes, because tomorrow we'll do exactly the same thing and we'll be in exactly the same situation. Okay? You're looking for the stops. You're looking for the hunts, the attempts to trap traders. Okay? If they break down in this zone and come into this vector recovery point, we would naturally expect them to try and recover back up. Okay? And it all depends on what they do at this point. Now, we have got the start of a new 1 hour candle happening in 20 minutes time. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. It's time for me to finalize the stream, because I have to go and get my daughter a little bit sooner. But remember, if you are new to the channel, be sure to like and subscribe. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Market Maker knows I'm leaving the stream, so he's going to make his moves. Ha! That's funny. That's a funny story. Listen. Be sure to like and subscribe, guys. I'll be releasing a video later on tonight on the macros and talking about the monthly close. So holders, that might be of some interest to you. Mad love and respect to everyone passing through to today's live. I hope it served purpose. Go and trade safely, ladies and gentlemen. Pay yourselves. Pattern watchers, I'm out.